We are live. My heart is just expanding, and I am merging in this whole great oneness of existence. I'm very happy to be back here with a new episode of In Oneness. Such a great honor to be here. And yes, today at a very special time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at, you're joining us. It's Light here for Nerika Healing, with a new episode of In Oneness, where we come from a space of the heart, from a space of compassion, from a space of unconditional love, to share with you our magnificent human experience. And I cannot be more happier, more honored than in the presence of the beautiful Groben Corona from the US. And I know it's her evening, and she's taken the time to bring her gorgeous smile and heart into this sacred space of Nerika to be here with us. If you cannot, I know most of you know the timing is on Wednesday, 8 p.m. India time, but as you know, we flow with the flow of the universe. We come live whenever we are asked to do. We are so flexible, and this is what life brings to us: growth, healing, abundance of experiences, and realization of the magnificence of our presence and of our experience. So it's a special timing today. And my beautiful guest is ready. I will bring her into the sacred space with us. Whenever you're ready, sister, please. The space is yours. Welcome, Groben. We are live on Nerika Healing Facebook page. I got the notification. We are live also on Light YouTube channel. You can take your time to tune in, and you can ask all the questions that comes to your consciousness, any questions that you have for Groben. And what Groben is here today, this beautiful sister I met in Mount Shasta a couple years back, and I love the connection the universe brings to us. Welcome to our sacred space, Groben. And I know you're such an incredible healer and a being of light, sharing your big heart, big compassionate heart, and holding space and holding the grid of light where you at in the US. And I want to talk more with you about who you are and what you are sharing with the humanity and all the love and light that you're sharing. Welcome to our space, Groben.
Thank you so much, Era, for having me. I'm very excited and honored to be here with you. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Very well. Seeing you, hearing you properly, and I'm so honored. You can see my smile is filling out my face. I'm so honored to have you in our sacred space to share this moment of the magnificence of who you are. And yes, we are live. I'm checking right now on Facebook, and all is great. We see you, we hear you. And if you want to take a minute to share the live on your page, you can do so also. We can invite your friends, whoever like to connect with us at this moment, to come to the live and enjoy these moments of deep connections, heart-to-heart talks, where we realize our oneness, our light. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I don't know what happened, but anyway, if I can't share it, it's completely fine. But yeah, but thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and, sharing this space with you. As you know, we met in Mount Shasta, and you're also just a beautiful being. And so the work that I do, I do a lot of work with trance, and I'm a hypnotherapist. So I help a lot of people overcome, manage, and control things of the mind, body, and spirit, and to really empower them and to help them find their own light, to help them find their own answers within, literally just mirroring and reflecting everything back to them so they can find their own answers within, which is more empowering, you know, in the long run instead of getting advice. I'm very big on, you know, healing and shamanic work, and I'm becoming a ceremonial facilitator at the moment. So I've been doing a lot of shadow work myself for a very long time, healing my own wounds, healing my own, you know, traumas and things like that. So I learned to heal myself, and now I get to take those tools and help other people apply them to themselves.
How did it start with you? I know each one of us have a very unique experiences that brought us to that realization. And one day we wake up, we are faced with this big light that's shining out, and it's asking us to just leave everything and do all that shadow work and open all these wounds so the light can come through, and then we are healed. How did it happen with you? I love always to start with this story because it's very uniquely ours.
Yeah. So I grew up very religious, very Catholic. Both of my parents were very Catholic religious, went to private school my whole life. Uh, my dad worked for the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, you know, so we grew up on a Catholic seminary, which is where priests go to become ordained into the priesthood. So, I mean, my childhood was very unique. It was like heaven on earth. Like this place was like a university campus with gardens and grottos and orchards and animals and squirrels and snakes and skunks. So I was very connected. I felt very connected to earth at a very young age. Very unique childhood. Didn't grow up in like a regular neighborhood. But growing up, I experienced, you know, the teachings of the church. And then as I grew up, I started to feel a lot of guilt, you know, because Catholicism is very much about guilt, and my mom was very strict, and you know, she had her own fears, and we know mother energy is so strong. And also growing up, you know, the Mexican culture is very much about obey and respect and honor, you know, your parents. And there came a point where I just couldn't, you know, it just wasn't me anymore. But I think that, I know the experience that happened for me was because I grew up very strict, very, you know, did things by the book and wanted to be a good girl and didn't want to do anything bad like drugs or party too hard, or I was like programmed into me. I had an experience at Disneyland where I, you know, took an edible and it blew open my consciousness. It scared me really, really bad, to where I had post-traumatic stress disorder for about 4 to 5 years after that. I was living in such a dark, dark place. And at the time, you know, there was a lot of changes happening in my life. My parents were retiring and moving back to Mexico. And I broke up with like a boyfriend who I really, really loved, and everything just started to like, you know, pile down. And
Exactly.
my consciousness was not, you know, it was not by choice that it was blown open, but it was blown open and it was scary. So I had to work on then healing all that, getting back in my body, because I was floating like in like the ethers, like somewhere. And you know, just by chance, I met a hypnotherapist at a women's empowerment event that I mustered up the courage to like go to, and talked to her for 5 minutes and went on her website. And I just was like, this is it. This is what's going to help me. Conventional things have not helped me before. You know, I just feel like I'm crazy and people look at me like I'm crazy. And so, yeah, but I think I had the gift really young because I had an aunt who was the rebel of the family, and she saw something in me at a very young age. And she tried to teach me how to do healings but my mom blocked it because of our religion. She's like, just be respectful, but don't really pay attention too much, you know. So, but she's such like a strong force in my life. She's passed now, but
she passed
yeah, I
that
just
on
started
to
to
you.
open it up.
She passed it on to you because the lineage has to continue. In every lineage, there are the both and opposite polarities. I just grew up almost in the same conditioning. And now when I broke out of all those cages that were programming me to be the obedient girl, the obedient wife, be in that stereotype woman. And when I came out of it, as your aunt had been that model for you, I am now for my nieces. And I know, like this is our mission, to pass on that torch and keep it going, because humanity needs to awaken at multiple levels, at multiple generations. And I'm relating so much with your story. It's so empowering to know your gifts and to know that this blown up consciousness, it's gonna what might sound like depression or whatever hard times we go through. I was reading in this great book called Initiation about how when the awakening happened and this blown up consciousness happened and the light comes back into our being, our nervous system cannot handle it, because we had been into repression from our divine self. We've been into separation for so long that we go through so much traumatic experiences, especially mental, because we cannot handle it, because we are always looked at as the crazy one around.
Yes. I always felt different. I just like, I would go to parties, you know, and everybody would be mingling and drinking and talking about boys and material stuff. And I would try really hard, but I'm like, the vibration was off, you know, like I'm just like, oh. Exactly. And then as I started to do the work, and there came a point in my life where a lot of things happened after, you know, this Disneyland, you know, drug experience, that I just started to see things so clearly. And the people around me, I couldn't even be in their presence anymore. And there came a point where I cut everyone off. Everyone. All my old elementary friends, all my high school friends, I just cut them off. And, you know, I raised my vibration and I started to surround myself with like supportive people. And yes, it was lonely, but it was so necessary.
Exactly.
But yeah,
because this
totally
vibration, it's gonna this new vibration will attract to you the people who are of that same frequency, like-minded, so that you can grow the soul family and you will be supported and held throughout this journey. And sometimes we feel like kind of guilty where we're cutting off cousins or family members, or like even moving away. Like for me, I've been living in the mountains in the Himalayas in India. I just, in a way, also I've taken this a huge step back so I can heal from my from whatever life had brought onto me, and I can bring that my light back in and focus into spreading this light. And believe me, those people that were cut off, they're gonna find their way back through, because they're gonna be attracted to your light, to your heart, to your compassionate being, rather than the perspective they have about you.
Yes. You know, I always say that I choose to be more like the light of the moon that, you know, lightens the way for the people on their darkest of days. You know, like, I'm here, I'm shining for you guys. You know, there's light.
You
so
are indeed shining. I just cannot help it when I see your post, how much positivity you bring into that space. And I'm sure it is impacting the life of a lot of people. And I've just this morning watched again the video you shared about the healing you've done on the little boy. You know, it brings me to the point of I want to learn more from you about this reprogramming of the subconscious mind and this subconscious mind behaviorist therapy that you give to humanity, it is very powerful, because a lot of mothers are really struggling with their little kids, because those kids are with the big consciousness, and the traditional parenting is not able to deal with them or understanding them. So please explain a little bit about this concept. It's a very intriguing.
Yeah, well, I've been working in behavior therapy specifically with kids with autism for a very long time. And I just think like they're just so in tune and they're on a different frequency, that I just got really good at just connecting and kind of predicting what they wanted, even though they didn't have language. But, you know, it's from the age of 0 to 8, we're literally absorbing everything like sponges and taking everything from our environment as truth. And that's our belief system as far as how we believe life is going to work and life is going to function. So each person has like their own little world in their head from their belief systems and how they were raised. And everybody thinks they're right, you know, and they are right in their own way. But what you see, you know, develops who you are, or what you experience develops who you are right now in this present moment. All of your experiences are filed away, you know, in your subconscious mind. So I always tell people, I'm like, we have certain stages of life, and in each stage of life there's certain developmental milestones, and if those milestones don't get met, then they roll over into the next stage of life and so on, and then it snowballs, and then as an adult you have all of these wounds or needs that you didn't get met, and then as an adult you hit like mental blocks. You can't, you know, like break that next glass ceiling. You start having panic attacks or anxiety, social issues, and it all comes from, you know, your childhood, like your inner child stuff, like things that, you know, wounds, deep wounds from childhood. So I work a lot with parents doing like parent training and how to approach your kids. You know, if you come alongside them and not at them, you get so much further. But a lot of people, you know, it's like we grew up with respect, 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 do what I say, you know, and just sit there and don't speak up. But it's so damaging in so many ways. But yeah, just, you know, I always tell people when they come to see me, now it's our job to unlearn who they taught you to be and find out who your real self is once you start to shed away all of those things, you know, because our parents' voice becomes our internal voice. So we have to learn to change the story.
Exactly, rewrite our own story, because that's what's going to serve us on the long run. All the memories and all the behavioral programming, it's true, it's happening in childhood. But as a past life regression therapist myself, I also realized that a lot of our traumas and our patterns and our phobias and a lot of the memories also, they are stored from past lives and they are carried on with us, because in the subconscious mind, it's like the library of all the experiences we've been through, whether we believe in past lives or reincarnation. And we're just thinking that the memories are from this life, this childhood, but big part of it also, it's a matter of belief as well. And most of it also, it's stored from our past lives, and we carry that with us. And I know this concept of past life and reincarnations and all this that's happening with us is becoming more common among all people who are awakening and are on the path of the spirituality. Do you tap into this aspect with parents, or they're not willing to understand or comprehend that there's also memories stored from the past?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that I tend to attract, I think it's just your energy. You tend to attract people who are, open. So I kind of feel it out first. But I mean, you're exactly right. I always try to explain it more in like a way that they'll understand if they're not very metaphysical, about just how memory is stored. We have cellular memory. So not only are we carrying around our own baggage from this lifetime, it's genetic also. And it's like you said, it's like it gets stored in our subconscious, in our cellular memory. And we're carrying also baggage from our ancestors that gets passed on through the sperm in our DNA. So of course, like, yes, there is a scientific explanation for it. It's not so metaphysical. But that's why I tell people, when you do the work on yourself, not only do you help heal yourself, but you help to heal all of that past generational trauma. And your ancestors are like, yes, like, you broke the chain, like it ends with you.
Somebody's got the guts to do it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for the past 2 days, whenever I sit for meditation, I've been receiving the message about the stored our cellular memory. And what came to my consciousness, that how as healers, most of the time we are tapping into the traumatic aspect of the life of our clients, even of ourselves, and we go back into whichever patterns or memories from traumas or pain that's stored in the cellular memory. And what's happening, that our cellular memory not only carries the pain and the suffering, it carries also the joy and the good moments and the happy moments and that exhilarating moments about life. They're also stored as well in our cellular memory. But also we are prone just to just focus on the suffering and the pain, rather than bringing to light these moments of joy. And this has been coming a lot to me. And also I was also called to do a meditation on that. Would you like to elaborate more about the cellular memory?
Yeah. The I always tell people, I'm like, they don't realize how negative their self-talk is sometimes. And that all gets passed on. That all gets passed on from, like, great grandma, grandma, mom, it's like all of that talk. And then when somebody realizes, like, oh my gosh, like my mom's voice is in my head and it's me, and it's all um, the lack mentality, and then you tell them, the first session, I always tell my clients, I'm like, okay, you need to work on awareness. For this week, starting today, I want you to be very mindful of how you speak to yourself. Not only how you speak to yourself, but how you communicate with others, because we speak in inferences and metaphors, and then the body feels it. So for instance, like we say, like, oh my gosh, he's such a pain in my neck. And then what happens? You start to feel a pain in your neck. Or I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. And you start to feel, pressure and tension, and, like, oh gosh, like he's such a headache. And, your head starts hurting. So it's like, everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. That's just the law of the universe. So of course it's in our cells. Of course, like we're like, what, 70% water? And there's been studies, Dr. Emoto, water carries memory. So if you're around negativity, imagine what that's doing to your body. So it's like, watch your thoughts, how you communicate with others, how you communicate with yourself. And, it's like, I tell people, fake it till you make it, like, even if you don't believe it, or the I am statements are so powerful. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, or oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. It's like, no, speak words of high vibrational love. Like, words have the power to heal. Words are so loving. Like, stop it. Like, you feel
at
it,
the very beginning, when you start with this I am affirmation, they might be just words that you're repeating,
Mm-hmm.
And then soon enough your subconscious mind start reprogram to that frequency, and you become this frequency. Yes, fake it till you make it, and I agree with you on that. And that's exactly what I was contemplating this morning, because I did this springy cleaning for my social media, and now whatever I'm receiving, it's just a lot of positivity. And then I was like looking how people are projecting this positivity, that is also changing them along the way. They may not be feeling at that moment whatever they have shared, but we start to reprogram as a collective on being a positive. And this positivity, it will reflect back onto us and on the collective as well. So it's a beautiful, magnificent journey. When I started with this program since the lockdown, almost a year now, it had brought so much growth to me to share those magnificent human experience with beautiful souls, and to know that we are here to enjoy, to be happy, to learn, to unlearn, to learn to deserve. Because it's gonna start from there. I deserve to speak nicely to myself. I deserve the loving compassion towards myself. I
Mm-hmm.
deserve the abundant life.
You're
It
worthy.
has to start. Yes. And it did change everything for me and around me.
Beautiful. Yes, it's so, so, so important. So important just to speak words of love into yourself. And, a lot of people are facing their shadows right now with this quarantine, because they have time to think. And if you haven't healed things from your past, like spirit is like, wake up, like pay attention, do something different. But the people who are resisting and want to stay in that old world and that old programming, they're the ones who are suffering. But I mean, I've had fun because it's all mindset. Like, I've continued to do all the same things. Like, yes, I have restrictions, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I got to wear a mask, or oh my gosh, I can't do this or I can't do that. It's like, I have had the best year. A year of creation, a year of self-reflection, a year of growth. Yeah, just meeting more beautiful
Deep
people, connecting
growth,
online.
exactly. The growth.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know, like I can't stop, keep sending my gratitude and thanks to this whole year, and this whole phenomena of COVID and the lockdown, and watching people. And just like yesterday, one of my aunts dropped me a message, and I felt, okay, come on, it's been ages, let me call her up so I can cheer somebody up at least. And the whole time she was telling me about what happened with all of the family got the coronavirus, and what's the suffering and this. And I was like, oh my God, it didn't reach our village. It seemed like Corona just hit you guys. And for some,
Yeah.
she was stunned that we live in a place that life is running so normal. And it's interesting. I would go down to the market, which is a little far from my house. When I go to get my things, as if I'm not invisible, I'm not wearing mask, nothing. Some people are, some, like, especially tourists who come to the place, the policeman just to enforce, like, kind of a little bit. And sometimes I feel like, am I really invisible? It's just that energy you carry. And you hear the stories that how this whole pandemic has affected a lot of people in so many ways. Again, it goes back to your vibration, to your frequency, to the mindset, and how you look at life, and how and where you see yourself positioned in this life.
Definitely. Yes. Like, when this whole thing came out, I was like, I put it out in the universe. I was like, it is not in my vibrational frequency to get this thing. One, I was born with the last name Corona. I was born with this. Like, to me, I'm like, like, I'm like, okay, taking precautions, but I'm not living in fear. You can't live in fear. You got to live, like, you got to enjoy. I'm like, if I die, I'm going to die happy and live in my best life. But yeah, I'm like continuing to do all the same thing, but I completely get it.
And this is what's going to
You know,
lift up the vibration for
yeah,
all of
because
them.
when you worry, it brings down your frequency. It brings down your autoimmune system. You know, it's why would you do that to yourself?
Exactly. Keep that big smile on, keep this big heart open, because we are living in an abundant universe, and we are provided for. And sometimes I get these very shocking messages. Oh, what do you think of yourself? You're just living far away off the grid, like you don't feel with others who has lost their jobs, or who have just gone into their worst time, or lost parents, lost, I do feel, and I am so compassionate, but and again I remind them and I remind myself, it's not in my reality, and I haven't agreed on the suffering. I stopped this programming, and I don't no longer agree on living in suffering and pain. And the reality I'm attracting is the reality I'm living. And if you would know how to just tap into your heart and find us, we're out there, thousands of us.
Light workers,
And
you're here.
yes, yes, we are here. We are here with an open heart. We are here just to show you the way and to empower you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's such a journey.
it is. It's a beautiful journey. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. Is like we create our reality. You know, if it's all brainwashing, it's what it's like, what bandwagon do you want to jump on? It's like I choose to jump on the one of positivity and creating my best life and not living in fear. And like you say, it's like before this whole thing happened, it's like a lot of light workers and spiritual advisors, they would talk about like the Great Awakening and how like we were going to be a tool and instrument and to prepare and get ready, because there's so many people who are scared right now. And it's like there are people praying, there are people chanting, there are people raising the vibration all over the world. It's just we don't realize it. Like I pray all the time. I chant. I listen to high vibrational music. I am doing my part. That's the best thing I can do, is like I'm not sucked in, or I don't allow people to draw me into their darkness. Instead, I've always said that I want to draw people towards my light. So, every time people start to spiral down that like, oh my gosh, you should get the shot and you this and blah, 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 this. And, I'm just like, okay, I respect where you're at on your journey. But,
Exactly.
I'm going to choose to take this happy path over here.
Yeah. Exactly, that's just so powerful, the realization of creating our own reality. We might have like heard the statement, and along the way it had become us, like this vibration became so strong that we are really feeling and touching on this reality in all its aspect, a reality of positivity and health and happiness. And it intrigues others. And I'm very happy with that. Let them be intrigued for the time being, because we are here holding the grid and shining the light on the path for whoever is ready. We cannot force it upon anyone. We just respect where they at on their journey. And it could be boom, it could be like this awakening is not something that we invite people into. It's something that happens from the within, and we're just like keep holding the light for more of humanity to awaken. And I'm very, very blessed with your presence, and whatever you are doing from your side in your area. Yes, I would love to hear more about your healing work.
Yeah, definitely planting the seeds along the way. That's all we can do for people.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, as you start to grow spiritually and you start to awaken, you start to learn all of these different modalities, you know, not just the Western modalities that, you know, don't work for so many people. I can't tell you how many calls I get where they're just like, this is my last resort. I've tried all the conventional methods. I've gone to doctors. I've gone to traditional cognitive talk therapy. And I just feel like I go in and I talk about my issues and I'm nowhere near close to resolving the issues. And, you know, these modalities have been around from the beginning of time. Trance work. The ancient Egyptians had them. Greeks had sleep temples. Like shamans used trance work all over the world. But you know, people are scared of the word like hypnosis. You know, they're like, oh no, they're going to take control of my mind. But I'm literally just a subconscious behaviorist. That's it. You know, take away that word and, you know, put in subconscious behaviorist and people are like, oh, or mental emotional release therapist. It's the same thing. It's all marketing. It's all trance. It's all deepening stuff. So, I mean, I'm practicing one hypnotherapy. I also do like breath work, sound, you know, healing, sound healing, Reiki, energy healing, hands-on healing. I'm learning my lineage from Mexico, so doing like healings with herbs, like curanderismo. And, you know, I'm getting certified right now and to become a ceremonial facilitator, to be able to lead healing groups, you know, whether it's with herbs, whether it's with plant medicine, you know, whether it's just healing or with, you know, anything. There's so many healing modalities out there.
Exactly. And you know, you would be guided to you know, create your own version of all those modalities as they come into your consciousness. As you will remember more and more of who you are and your light and your mission. More of these modalities will start dropping into your consciousness, and you will wake up with which, you know, like connecting the dots. And it is so fascinating when this happens.
Yeah, the downloads that we get, you know, it's just, oh, when you quiet your mind and you just connect to source, it's like the answers are there. Like, you know, the visuals, like I'm so very clairvoyant, and that's something that I've developed. And I think I always had, but as you start to do the work, you know, you're like, oh, wow. And you never tell anybody because you don't want anybody to think you're weird, you know, but I'm like, I don't care anymore. This is who I am. Like, who's going to be, you know, supposed to be in my life is going to accept me for who I am. And I don't give a shit anymore. You know, I'm like, this is me. This is my authentic me. Yes, I'm a clairvoyant. Yes, I'm a spiritual person. Like, I'm not mainstream. Like, I'm not materialistic. Like, that's just not who I am, you know? And I think when you step into your power and you just are authentically you, people are drawn to that, you know, because they fear doing that, or they fear like letting go, you know, they just don't want to be alone. But there's so much beauty on the other side.
And that other side is nowhere but within you. Like just that, you know, you've just crossed the bridge to the within. And within you is such a vast ocean of compassionate love, and the healing comes from that space within. And you know, it is fear of the unknown, but the unknown is just within reach, and it's not unknown. It's been always there. It's our innate nature. You know, like even with our mothers, regardless how much programming they've done onto us, when we used to fall ill, the first thing they will do, they will grab us on close to their heart, and they will just like, you know, sing a lullaby, or they will just pray, or they will just mutter few words. And this is the energy they are sending, because innately we are connected. We just don't want to put labels to it. We're so afraid of you know, breaking the norm with ourselves.
Right.
So it innately ours. Love is innate, compassion is innate, abundance is innate. So imagine waking up to this.
Yes, awakening that power. Yeah, it's a practice that you have to do. So many people like wake up or they come to me and they're like, I just wake up with so much anxiety. Like I wake up and that's how I start my day every day, and it's like, okay, let's reprogram that. Like, how often do you go over a gratitude list? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you live in gratitude, two things of the opposite nature cannot live within the same vessel. So you can't be worried and happy at the same time. So just start listing all the things you're grateful for. And after a time, that will start to change the neural pathways in your mind because you'll be in a state of abundance instead of lack. So yeah, it's like I say, words have energy, words have frequency and vibration. So yes, it is possible to tap into that love and that gratitude and the abundance that's out there. It's our birthright. We were born with it, like you said.
Exactly. And the more we realize it, the more it materializes in our life, the more it manifests and it starts unfolding
Yeah.
like within every aspect. Our health, our wealth, our well-being, people around us, every aspect of it, it becomes this frequency. And what just coming on to me right now, how much we give power to our mind to overpower us in a way, and it just like runs all these programmings and just take us into these rabbit holes and into these whirlpools of emotions. And knowing that being the master of this mind is also our innate nature. It just we lost the grip on how to manage our mind and how to I don't like to use the word control, but to work with it and befriend it, rather
Mm-hmm.
than being fearful of what the mind can bring, because all the power of manifestation is through the thoughts.
Yes. Yes. And I think people are scared of how powerful their mind is. If people only realized how powerful, I think people are more fearful of just, that in itself. So, we have the ability to heal ourselves. It's only a thought that we have to change. And people just don't realize it. It's like we as humans can change our thoughts. We can choose our thoughts. We can have, pattern interrupt when we're spiraling down like a negative thought. Worry creates more worry, lack creates more lack. So why not think about the best possible outcome and stay in that vibration? What would it look like to have what we want? Would it feel like? Use all your senses, bring in all your senses. Like, let's get into that state. Not into like, oh, what's the, so many people like they immediately go to like worry and lack because that's all what they were taught. That's all they know. So they automatically go into that fight or flight, like, oh no, the worst possible case scenario. But it's retraining the brain, it's quieting the mind. And, I always tell people, what's your spiritual practice? And, some people answer and they're like, well, I'm not religious. And I'm like, well, that's not what I asked. What are the things you do on a daily basis that make you you? Do you get on the road and start cussing people out and throwing F-bombs and, or like you wake up like angry and bitter and, or do you wake up, do a meditation, go over, mindfulness, practice gratitude? Do you drink enough water during the day? Do you call your loved ones? Like all of that stuff makes up your spiritual practice. Like maybe, yes, you do have a temple or something that you go to that can also be a part of your spiritual practice. Do you exercise? That's a part of your spiritual practice. Do you watch your thoughts? Like all of that. And, I always, it kind of baffles me when, I people who don't, believe in like a higher power, who are atheists, and I always say, when you disconnect from source, whatever you believe that to be, you disconnect from yourself, because we're one and the same. You know, God energy is within us. And if you disconnect from source, you disconnect from yourself, and you're just walking around like not knowing really anything.
Isn't it the state of a humanity for so long, that this connection is there? We were, you know, kind of programmed to live in duality without realizing that we have really pushed far away from who we are. And who we are is that source of light and love. And it's fascinating just to keep witnessing this cycle still happening. But again, we respect every being's journey, and we will just like keep holding that torch, and keep the light shining, and just be from that space of love and compassion. Yeah, it is fascinating. You know, as I'm talking to you, they start the drumming here in the temple, and it's a shamanic practice in these village temples. And just right, it's adjacent to my house. And the frequency that brings into my daily practice, it just enhanced my vigilance with my thoughts, with my emotion, with the flow of energy within me. As you said, going on a trance, it could be in so many ways: the sound, the guided meditation, the drumming. And it does sometimes unconsciously we are listening to some music, and it take us to that phase where we are in, where we consider, yeah, it moves us to that space. But again, we're in so much ignorance that we're not watchful of the connection that can bring. So it's just that simple. It is simple, yes.
Yes, it is. It's awareness. Awareness is the catalyst of change. If you're not aware, you can't change. You stay stuck in the same cycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's so important to bring in your senses.
Yeah, exactly. And I think awareness starts with your readiness to look inward. Like, you know, you nothing goes unnoticed. Not that numbness in my leg that's happening right now, or the thought or the feeling, or even the like the taste and the smell. Everything becomes so sharp when you become aware.
Oh yeah. You know, I practice that with, you know, people who come to me for weight loss. You know, it's like, let's be mindful about how, you know, the food that you're putting in your mouth. Be mindful, just hold the food, notice how it feels. Like, what's the energy that it gives before you even like put it up to your mouth, before you put it up to your lips? It's like, do you resonate with it? Is your body, what is your body telling you? You know, it's like, be mindful about everything you do. Does it give you energy? Does it make you feel sluggish? Does it make you feel sick? Like, you know, all that has so much to do with it. Yes, maybe in the moment, like it feels good, but after you feel horrible, you know, because it's very greasy or fatty, or, you know, so it's.
Exactly. And what a difference it makes if you just like send words of gratitude toward that food before it goes into your body, and how much of a difference can it make in your body energetically, you know. And these are very, very little ritualistic things that we do in our daily life, and this is our spiritual practice. You know, this conversation is so intriguing, it's so heartwarming, and I know it's reaching the right people at the right time for their awakening. Such a blessed times with you here. We are 5 minutes away from the end of our conversation. Amazing, like time flew by so quickly.
I know.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful, full of love. We have Jacqueline Pinkerton watching with us, and she left a few comments. Thank you, Jacqueline. And Lena Thank you for watching and for being with us and sending all these gratitude and yes, appreciating the conversation. If you guys have any question for Groban and how to reach her, please feel free to write down in the comment. I will share with her, of course. She's available on her social media, Groban Corona. I will share her link in the comments so you can directly connect with her for healing session or whatever she offers. Maybe do you have a website that we can share as well?
I do. Currently, it's yourpersonalmindcoach.com, or you can go to mindsethealing.org, or just Google my name. It's so unique. I'm like the one and only. If you just Google me, you'll find me.
You are the one and only, and you are magnificent. Isn't that so beautiful? You guys can just find Groban on her Facebook and connect with her. And I'm sure she has a lot to offer at this time for all of us. Such a blessing to have you here with us. And I am actually wanted to thank you from me personally and from the collective for tapping into your ancestral healing modalities, and it is so empowering. And it is so empowering. That's what I've been trying to do into my lineage, trying to find where my lineage lies and what is in there for me, yet to get the guidance, but it will. And I know that your Mexican lineage had to offer a lot, especially in spiritual practices and medicine. It is so powerful to see you there, to see your light, and to share the space with you. Thank you so much. Such a blessings to have you. And yes, keep shining this light, and I would love to co-create a beautiful space with you. We can collaborate more on that. If you have few words to share, so feel free, please.
Thank you so much for having me. And you were just a beautiful light, and I've been wanting to connect with you for so long now, since we met in beautiful Mount Shasta. It brought us together, and it built a beautiful relationship. But yes, I also want to thank you for doing the work, and for helping to raise the collective and being a soul sister. I think your work is beautiful. So I see your light. Namaste.
Namaste. I see you, I honor you, and I love you. And may we shine our light and keep praying for humanity's awakening. Thank you, everybody who's watched with us. And if you missed the live, you can watch the replay here on Facebook or on the YouTube channel. Groban, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And yes, it's a whole day for me to get on my chores, get on my work, and attend to my babies. They're already down.
And I got my to-do list done. It's time for me to go to bed over here in California.
Yes. And sleep tight, and we will connect very soon, love. Thank you so much. A new episode of In Oneness will be announced soon. I am very flexible with whatever the universe brings, and the timings, and the beautiful ones who agree to come to share their magnificent human experience. We are love, we are abundance, and we are awakening. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.